My mother kicked me out and went no contact with me because I talked to my grandparents, whom she had gone no contact with before I was born, and no one will tell me why. Posted by you/FamilyDrama879. Longtime lurker, first time poster, sorry if the formatting is messed up, I'm on a cell phone. I don't know what to do right now. I feel like I really didn't do anything wrong, but I think I might have messed everything up anyway. I'll try to be succinct. I don't know where this starts. I have two younger sisters, 10 and 5. My mom has never really talked about her parents. When I first signed up for Facebook, one of the conditions was that I had to let her block them, and my uncle, and make my profile private, just for real-life friends. I think I remember us changing phone numbers when I was about 7 or 8 because bad people know it. I know they sent letters and cards on Christmas and our birthdays, but she always threw them away immediately. This year was the first year I've been away from home, and out of my mother's control, and I started receiving my letters from Grandma. Mom wasn't there to hide them or throw them away. I opened them, and I don't know what I expected, but they were just gentle well wishes, vague because she doesn't really know me, a little rambling about her garden, and $50. That was it. No fire and brimstone, no insults. It was just Grandma E. The Christmas one was the same, but with $100. I kind of wonder if there was money in all the cards my mother threw away. I don't know. I was expecting Bible quotes and pictures of terminated fetuses or something. Mom said they kicked her out when she got pregnant with me, for being pregnant. That's kind of all she's ever said about it, and it never occurred to me before to ask for more details. I know she stayed with her lifelong best friend's family, I'll call her Auntie Carol, until I was born, and she married my dad, Auntie Carol's brother, 4 years later when she was 20. That's really all I know. A few months ago, I got really bored and curious. Grandma's letters were pretty harmless and cute, and they were addressed to me. I'm an adult, I don't have to ask my mother for permission to talk to someone. I don't know why I feel so defensive, I didn't do anything wrong. I sent a message to, I'll call my mother's family Smith, Grandma Smith, and she responded within a day. She was excited to hear from me. Could we meet? She'd like to introduce me to my grandfather and uncle. I said sure, why not? Because, well, why not? They don't live that far away, which surprised me. They're about 50 miles from my school and 80 miles from home. I met them, and they were just people. We didn't have anything in common. They aren't voting for Trump, so they're not that brand of old white people. My uncle looks just like my mother but balding. It was nice to meet family I didn't know before, but it wasn't a revelation. I asked about what happened with my mother, and Grandpa Smith said they would have helped her with the baby, but she had too much pride. Later, when it was just me, Grandma Smith, and my Uncle John, Grandma Smith said it was because my mother was disrespectful and promiscuous in their house. Uncle John said they kicked her out, but both Grandma and Grandpa said she ran away to be with my dad. That was when I started feeling weird about the whole thing. I asked again in front of all of them, and then they all agreed that she ran away. I didn't want to start a fight or anything, so I left it at that. I went back to school and promised to keep in touch. Which brings us to now. I was home for spring break, and I brought up this whole situation today with my mother because, at this point, I just want answers about why we never talked to these perfectly normal people all my life and what really happened between them. And my very calm, very intelligent mother completely flipped her crap. She started yelling, "Why would you do that? What do you mean you were in their house?" My youngest sister started crying because of all the shouting, and my dad took them upstairs. My mom calmed down a bit and started trying to make me promise never to talk to them again. I wouldn't, because she still won't say what happened, if anything. She said that I had to go, and if I wouldn't cut all contact with them, then I'd never talk to her or my sisters again. I stood my ground because I'm not going to excommunicate someone without knowing why. She said that I needed to leave, now. So I left, and that's that. I'm back at school. My dad won't answer the phone, and I'm blocked on my mother's Facebook. I called Auntie Carol, and I barely got 2 words out before she said, "Why would you do that? You need to work it out with your mother," and hung up. I don't know what to do. No question, if I had to choose, of course, I'd choose my mom, dad, and sisters over the grandparents and uncle I barely know, but I don't think I should have to. I don't know why my mother is being so extreme about this. I feel like they must have murdered my mom's puppy in front of her or something, but if she would just tell me that instead of getting so upset over nothing, I wouldn't mind cutting them off as much. How do I talk to my mother logically about this? Relevant comments. Commenter. My mother-in-law has a huge aquarium, 4 adorable birds, and 2 sweet tiny dogs. She knits, crochets, quilts, and bakes. She also regularly beat the crap out of my husband growing up, abandoned him with other family for 5 years, and neglected him so she could gamble. He often went weeks without food. My nanny bakes, goes to yard sales, and makes the best ribs. She also beat the crap out of my mom and all her siblings growing up and drank like crazy. There's a lot you probably don't know. Of course, these people seem normal to you, they barely know you, and they want to, so they're treating you with kid gloves. Abusers are often real charmers. I replied to your post in r/relationships. My mother-in-law was sweet as pie until I had the baby. Then I became a family member, and a prime target for her controlling and verbally abusive ways. But my mother-in-law would paint me as the abusive and controlling one, controlling for not doing what she wanted me to do with the baby, etc. People can hide their true selves. If your dad and aunt are reacting this way, it sounds big. It sounds like it's really hard for your mom to discuss. Where they're saying she ran away to be with your dad, but everyone else is saying she was kicked out, and them calling her promiscuous, my guess would be that they issued an ultimatum, your dad or them/their support. They may have even wanted her to get a termination. To them, her choosing not to terminate and staying with your dad would be running away with your dad. To her, it would be them kicking her out for being with him. Which side you're on can skew your perspective. That's just one possibility, though. It could be anything. It happens. It happened to my close friend at 17, she moved in with her boyfriend. I feel like you potentially approached this the wrong way, maybe a bit confrontational? Why aren't these completely normal people in my life? Would put her on the defensive quickly. You should have approached her with the letters and explained that you're an adult now and would like to know why you're not permitted to talk to these people. Going there without telling her was, to her, an immense betrayal, and in her mind, if she was abused, incredibly dangerous. Ops response. The way they said it was like she was an uncontrollable wild child, and they would have helped if she had just let them. I just thought she was young. But that's not my mother. That's not my mother at all. There isn't a wild bone in her body. There are charts upon charts and appointments on calendars for everyone, and she knows my schedule better than I do. Sometimes I call her, and she doesn't even bother with hello, she just skips right to the answer to whatever question I have because I swear she's psychic. I love my mother, and I don't want to hurt her. You're right, I did come at it abruptly, like it was a little problem that she was making up. I think I did scare her. I didn't mean to. I'm going to go over there later today and try again, more carefully and maturely. Update 2 days later. I don't really want to talk about this, but sitting here obsessing over it isn't helping anything, and I did promise to update. I don't know if there's a rule about it, but trigger warning for incest and grape. So, my mother came by today. I was going to go home and try to talk to her, but she beat me to it. She wasn't upset anymore. She was just really tired and sad. Before anything else, I know a lot of people guessed yesterday about what happened, but if everyone could just not say I told you so, I'd really appreciate it. I apologized as much as I could. I told her about the letters, how they just seem so normal, and I asked why she always throws them away unopened if there might be money in them. She told me they put money in them so that she'll open them, and she said, I know they look harmless, but they're in a secret code that they know only I'd understand. They're upsetting and tiring and pointless, and that's why I just throw them away. She looked at the Christmas card and told me that it used to be her job to tend to the garden because it was supposed to teach her patience and discipline. She said she had to tend it every day, no matter the weather. That her mother mentions the garden in a letter to me as a dig at her parenting, saying that I'm undisciplined and that it's her fault, and that the fact her mother tends it now means she shouldn't have had to and that my mom is a bad daughter for not doing it for her. She says all the letters are like that. She said that when she was a kid, they told her she was worthless and a burden and had to earn her keep. She said that both her father and brother used to do whatever they wanted to her, and I didn't ask for more details, but she said that when she got pregnant, her mother said they weren't going to pay for a baby. She had ignored it for too long to get an inexpensive termination, and her mother called her a WHRE and the baby an abomination, then kicked her out with $10 for the bus and an extra pair of shoes. She went to my dad and Auntie Carol's house and told them what happened, and my dad asked to be on the birth certificate right away. He said she was his best friend and that he'd be honored to be my father. She said she couldn't believe my grandparents would just take her in like that, with no questions asked, with a baby on the way, and not ask for anything in return. She said she'd planned to off herself but couldn't do it anymore because it might have made my dad's family sad. She said her family always told her she was worthless and stupid, and she decided to devote her life to proving them wrong. She says that good people do exist in the world, but if you want there to be more of them, then you have to be one too. She says she's always loved me, but she never knew what to say. So, that's what happened with my mom and her family. I wanted to know. I promised her that I'd never talk to her family ever again, and it was easy to promise because I can't think of anything I want to do less than talk to those people again. It makes me sick to think I ever thought they were nice people. She said she was sorry about the other day, but she panicked and overcorrected. Apparently, they never tried to contact her until my sister was born, and then my mother's mother got really excited about having a granddaughter and wanted shared custody or something. She said that everything they do to try to get to her is really just a way to get to my sisters. She says she doesn't really know why they are the way they are, but everything's a game to them, and the only way to win is not to play. I don't really know what to say about this either. I don't know what to do with it. I feel like everything's different now, and nothing is, too. I don't think I'm as strong as my mother is. I don't think I can make everything be normal through sheer force of will. I want everything to go back to the way it was. I don't really know what to do now. I do want to thank everyone who took the time to talk to me yesterday. Thank you for being so patient with someone who was so blind. I think this would have been so much messier without your help. I'm so sorry for what you've been through that let you know my mother better than I did, just by looking at what I said. Op commenting on a different post about his mom's family 4 months later. Dug up my throwaway for this. So, last Christmas and earlier this year on my birthday, I got a letter from my mother's biological family. All my life, my mom refused to talk about them, but she did it in such a way that I didn't really notice. It was just always that way. I knew they sent letters sometimes, and I watched her throw them away. That was normal, and I thought nothing of it. This is really hard to write, and I still feel guilty about it, but I have to help you now, just like these people helped me. I moved away from home to go to college last year. My mother's relatives, who I call the Smiths because they don't deserve to be called her family, quietly sent me a Christmas card and then a birthday card. Each had a bit of money and vague but cheery holiday/birthday greetings. No one had told them I'd moved out, which school I was going to, or what dorm room I was in. I don't know how they knew my birthday. I didn't think about any of that then. Hell, this is hard. This was never a 5-alarm situation in my house growing up. My mother never said they were dead, she just calmly made sure that none of us had any contact with them. I don't know what I thought had happened, I just never questioned it before. I'm stalling. Long story short, I got curious and contacted the Smiths, my mother's father, mother, and brother. I went to their house, the same house my mother grew up in. In my memory now, they are ominous and shadowed, with long clawed fingers and creepy glowing eyes, but I know that, really, when I went there, I thought they were so normal. And, this is funny, I got this sense of righteous superiority over my mother because I could just tell that they were ordinary people she had condemned for some petty reason. They were into sci-fi books, gardening, and telling mildly confusing stories about my mother. Oh, doesn't that just crack me up now? I visited their place and then went back to school like I hadn't cheerily walked out of the monster's den. I didn't know then that they had let me go. I didn't know then that they were using me as bait. I didn't know then that they were playing a game, and it wasn't me they were after. So I went home for spring break a couple of weeks later and, just like they'd planned, dropped a bomb on my poor mother. I did it in the middle of dinner because I am tactful and thoughtful like that. My mother, who is the calmest, most put-together person you'll ever meet, started hyperventilating and talking in this high-pitched screech. We scared my little sisters, and my mother begged me, on a loop, like she couldn't do anything else until I agreed, not to go there ever again. I, of course, was steady in my knowledge that my 2 letters and 1 3-hour visit definitely trumped her 16 years of being their daughter/sister. And they'd seem so normal to me. They had a garden, after all. When I wouldn't agree never to see them again, my mother told me I had to go and not ever come back. I left and went back to school feeling wronged, very confused, and with a deep, sinking something in the pit of my stomach that I couldn't identify and tried to ignore because I was so sure I was right. I made a post here a few hours later, mostly because I wanted anonymous, impartial people on the internet to agree with me that my mother had gone way the hell overboard. Some people did think she had, but wiser folks started picking holes in everyone's stories. They started asking me why I thought I knew better than my mother, what on earth could make such a calm and rational person so afraid. They asked me, was I sure I wanted to kick this hornet's nest? The answer to that, incidentally, if I could go back in time, is hell no. Sometimes, buried family secrets are buried for a reason. I've already written a novel here, and to be honest, I'm still kind of messed up because of this whole fiasco, but the short of it is that there was physical, emotional, and SA going on in that household, and my mother only barely got out of there alive. The reason the Smiths contact us is that they are creepy creeps who play creepy games, and they want contact with my younger sisters for God knows what creepy reason. The thing, though, the whole reason I wrote this all out again, is that the Smiths, and people like them, seem normal. They fooled me, my mother's son. They fooled their neighbors, child services, my mother's childhood friends and their parents, her teachers, and school administrators. My mother's family can put on human faces that are frighteningly believable, that is their true horror. They have a secret code and double meanings and tone of voice that I have to trust my mother on. She said that her mother once said, in the middle of a party, in front of all the ladies, "Your skirt is too short," and that meant her father would be graping her that night. But no one else knew their family code, so they could say things like that with no one the wiser, and no one would ever believe her. My mother's relatives are monsters. They're monsters. They only wear human faces. Whatever reason your mother has for cutting off her monsters, take it from someone who's been there. Are you sure you want to kick this hornet's nest?